Hello, everyone. This is Sensei Monday, once again with Shadowhawk Koga Ninjutsu training on samurai kenjutsu techniques on one particular subject. What I'm going to go over today is the use of the Tanto or the Kodachi sword that the samurai warrior used in ancient times. And there are two techniques that I'd like to show demonstrating the use of the weapon and explain to why samurai carried the weapon. Okay, one of the techniques that I want to show is the samurai techniques adopted from a hitting blade. Okay, I learned these techniques also from my first sensei. These are considered hitting samurai combat techniques. You have to first learn the basic skills and then learn the basic combative skills of kenjutsu, as I said earlier in the other videos. But these are the hitting samurai techniques, okay? One of the techniques here is where you put your sleeve up if you're wearing a kimono, and the kimono would be longer to hide this weapon. It would be a long sleeve coming down in front of you from a bigger kimono. And if you didn't have a kimono, you would have the Tanto or the Kodachi sword blade face back the other direction. But it's good to have it face back the other direction even with a longer sleeve from your kimono. Okay? So you have a standard grip with the blade pointed at the opponent. You would take your hand and cross this index finger over, still holding with these bottom fingers in the use with the thumb. And you would simply turn this around, hold on to it, and flip it to a reverse grip. Okay? The suka would be pointed at the opponent. The back of the blade would be up against your arm, and the whole part of the blade with the point be pointed back. And you'd have your sleeve out just like this. And the name of this stance is called Tomato Zanshin no Kamae. Okay? Tomato Zanshin no Kamae is translated as a hitting sleeve, okay, or a hitting sleeve posture, especially with a kimono, a big one with the sleeves hanging out. You cannot see this weapon, okay? As soon as your attack is demonstrated with an attacker coming to attack you in this position, you would simply have this blade is in a reverse grip, okay? You would shift your body at an angle. This would come up, parrying, this way, okay? As soon as you parry off their blade or their strike, then you would run through with a push, stabbing them, running them through, okay, to take them out, kill them, okay? See that again from the side. Okay, so as he makes his cut, I would shift at the same time. I could parry with one hand, I prefer to do two because I want to get a strong parry out where I push the blade out. Okay? Then I would bring this in to push through to run them through. Okay, with the fatal ski or thrust into them. Okay? That time I didn't have to block. I just thrust it into them. You can do that too. If they didn't have a weapon, or if you're able to dodge and get the push ski. See from the front view. Okay. All right. So that's how that technique would be done with a Kodachi sword or Tanto knife that the samurai would use with that technique. Okay, Tanto zanshin no kamae. Okay, translates a hidden sleeve posture. Okay, very sneaky hidden samurai technique. Another one is called sagi jodan. All right, this one is where the blade is pointed downward, kind of up, like slightly pointing at the enemy's eyes or face. It looked like you're gonna try to like stab them in the face, but you're not, you know. And this technique is pretty much kind of similar to the hidden sleeve posture. So in sagi jodan, you would simply just have your pose here waiting. There's many tricks to this technique. So the opponent actually sees the weapon. Shift. Okay, as soon as you shift and parry, okay, flip this around, cut. Alright, right across the throat. Let's see that again. As soon as you parry, see the top hand comes over, cuts the throat, but that's the finishing blow with that push ski. Okay? Alright. So with the sagi jodan, point it slightly down at the enemy's face at an angle where you can see it. Shift. Okay. Flip this over. Cut. As if you had a katana. Cutting across the carotid artery. Push, thrust in. 2 moves. Killing the opponent. Alright. See what's done on the other side. Okay. So if I'm here on the other side, I can have it down and shift. Parrying this way. Okay. Move in, cut across the throat again. See how that works on that side. Very simple and direct. See how I push? Sides of the blade. Just like you had a bigger, longer katana. Alright. You can do that too. Cutting at that awkward angle. This way, flipping it. Push thrust. Or parry. You can parry with one arm as well. Okay. And then as you parry out, step through, cut. Right across here. Push ski. Pushing thrust. That goes with the bottom part of the end of the suga. Okay. Pushing through. Stabbing through with that push. Okay. Of course, reverse jaburi. Okay. So these 2 techniques, sleeve posture, hidden sleeve posture, Tanto zanshin no kamae. Okay. Usually it'd be pointed like this, but it's a hidden technique. They're never supposed to see that blade with that technique. Okay? And don't forget to, when you're going to do it while hidden, don't forget to flip it. And hold on to those bottom fingers to help flip it. Otherwise, you'll drop it. Okay? And have the suka pointed, have it close to your hip, have the blade pointed away from you this way. Okay? So your sleeve from your kimono actually hides them from seeing it. And if you didn't have a long sleeve, you would just simply have it back like this. Kind of hard to see it, isn't it? You turn your body a certain angle. Alright? Then as he came at you, see how that is? It's right in there with a push thrust. Alright? Now, sagi jodan, they would actually see the blade. Okay? And then that would be more like a movement with a parry, flipping over. Okay? with a parry. Okay, moving on this side with a parry. Okay. All right. Koshiburi. So those two techniques is designed to be hidden. One is hidden, and the other is more out to prepare for the opponent's attack with the sagi jodan. All right. The reason why these techniques here, samurai would use a shorter tanto or smaller Kodachi small sword for indoor fighting. The blades were shorter. When they would get their long katana, when they would put it up in the home or a special place or a rack, and a servant would grab their longer katana if they only had that one, but they always carried one of these type of weapons, a tanto or kodachi, hidden on them, either in their obi or something. And when they didn't have their kimono, they would have that smaller knife sword with them. Okay, especially when going inside a guest's home to eat or to drink tea with him, they always had some type of smaller type of blade to assist them when they didn't have their longer type of katana or dai katana, the big one. Okay, that's one of the reasons. And they also carried it for a last emergency use when they be fighting out, and about in travels or something like that. If they didn't have their sword with them, they would definitely have one of these. Okay, a tanto or a kodachi. Samurai always had that on them. And all those weapons are considered to be smaller weapons. They carried shurikens too, mainly a lot of bow shuriken, which is the needle dart throwing type of needles. Some were different sizes, some were different shapes, depending on the Ryu school. But a lot of these small techniques, for small weapons, for smaller techniques, they were more like ninja, like type hitting methods that samurai did adapt and use. A lot of these methods came from a school called the Emiru school. I'm not sure if it was an Iga or a Koga school, but it was definitely a ninja's small weapon school that specialized in the use of small kobugi weapons. And a lot of those weapons were hitting type of weapons where they could be easily concealed. Like a Marika Zari, Nawa Boogie, that's rope weapons. Small tanto knives, shuriken, and on most Ryu schools, of course, the shuko kagi, or the shuko, the hand claws, Nikoto, claw fingertips, that a lot of female ninja would also use smeared with poison. Well, a lot of samurai also used Tiken iron fist. They were like iron knuckles that we would call today as brass knuckles that we use in modern times. And those were used for hitting and breaking, smashing bones. It's basically like a brass knuckle, but very, very dangerous and effective. Can be hidden in the hand when concealing it to punch and strike. Those kind of weapons were definitely for close quarter combat. And the reason why a lot of samurai train with a lot of small weapons is to learn the disadvantages and learn how to use the movements of their maya, the distance to get in with a longer range weapon. That was the purpose of it, And they used those techniques, taijutsu, the body movement, to position themselves with these smaller weapons so they could get in and take a swordsman down who had a longer blade or a longer weapon, such as a staff club, whatever the case may be. And it was very important to master small weapons, especially on emergency notice, if they were about to be defeated by someone who had them at their mercy, and they could get to that smaller weapon to take them out and then kill them. Very important. Before I end this video, there's another important factor that I want to show with based on small weapons. The use of this weapon, the Tessan war fan. And a lot of samurai fought with these fans. Okay? And one of the techniques that they did, a lot of Ruskus adopted it, and too many people that study the samurai arts, they very know about the ninjas hitting, samurai hitting methods that they adopted from the ninja. What I mean, the samurai had a technique with the Tessan war fan where they open it up and they would floor it while walking, okay, at the enemy, okay, to deceive and trick him. They didn't really know. They thought he was in maybe a fighting pose, or maybe he thought he was dancing. No, he wasn't. Behind the fan would be some hitting, throwing darts or bow shrinking. Some were made out of steel, some were actually made out of chopsticks, sharpened with the tips, like these right here. So what they simply would do is they would flare it in front of the enemy at the last second, grab the bow shrinking out and throw it into the enemy's face to take them down. That's an old hitting samurai tactic that they would use. And a lot of people don't know this. Some of those darts, not all of them, were covered with poison, because there is some history documents that do state that some samurai did use the use of some poison in combat. They may not have used it as much as the ninja, but it has been known in some of those texts that they did. Okay, but it was very, very rare that they did, but it did happen. So a lot of people should know that too about samurai, Bushido warriors. Okay, they did use hitting tricks to win combat too. Okay, because you got to remember one thing. There was code and honor and ethics in the samurai that served the Lord, but you gotta remember you had different classes and different types of samurai. Okay, you had Ronin samurai too, which translates as masterless samurai without a master to serve. And a lot of Ronin used a lot of these type of tactics too. So I just want to give you a better insight what these samurai from different classes and tactics and weapons that they would have did. I thank you so much for listening. This is Sensei Monday on Shadowhawk Koga ninjutsu training. More samurai techniques in the use of the Tanto or Kodachi, Tantojutsu or small sword combat skills of the samurai. I will be showing more of these tactics, more to come in videos for those who want to know, asking questions about it. I thank you. Keep up with the training. I just want to educate some of y'all about some things on the samurai that a lot of people don't know, right offhand. A lot of people tend to know that they were a cold class to stick to an honorary code. But you got to remember, you had other classes, different types of classes of samurai. Always remember that, It's very important to study that and know it, So I thank you so much for listening. Into the next videos on more of the samurai ninjutsu training. Sensei Monday. I thank you once again. Us keep practicing.